Hey, welcome everyone to another episode of Caspio Labs. Welcome. Greetings, King Capo. Welcome back. Good to see you again. If you guys are able to hear me okay, please let me know and we can begin today's live stream on how to build a lost and found database. So just do me a quick favor, let me know that you can hear me okay, and we will go ahead and begin. Hey, Phil. Hey, Katie. Good to see you. I'm always curious to know what your application is about, so maybe we can take it offline. I know you've done some fancy things with the modal pop-up, so I'm always thinking about what is Katie building? You sent me an image before, but it wasn't enough for me to understand the type of application that you're developing. So, if you want to share that with me, you can email me. I'd love to see what you're working on. And maybe I can give you some feedback on how you can improve the functionality, if you want my feedback, that is. Okay, cool. All right, so welcome everyone. Welcome to another episode of Caspio Labs. Today we're going to be learning how to build a lost and found database. And in light of what's happening in Ukraine, I decided to create a lost and found database that's a little bit more centric and relatable to what's happening over there. I also want to let you guys know that Caspio is offering a free plan to anyone who's looking to build applications to help out Ukraine. These applications cannot be for commercial use, but there are many different types of applications that you can develop using Caspio for that situation, what's happening over there. Anything from a missing persons report, maybe you can do a job listing to offer jobs to people who are looking for work. So there are a lot of different types of examples that can be created using the Caspio platform. This is just one of them. It's a lost and found database when people can report lost or found items. Other people will have the ability to search for these items. And then the idea here is simply to claim the item. If this is yours, you can click on the button. That's going to open up the form. We can submit that form to notify the admin. And then on the backside, the admin can log in and have the ability to manage all of the listings and be able to see the claims and who's claimed that item. We also have the ability to click on the inline edit, and here I can update the item's information, and I can also deactivate or unpublish or publish that item if it's no longer needed to be in the listing. If somebody claimed that item and we were able to connect the person who is inquiring about the item and also the person who posted the item, they can meet up, exchange the items, and then we can unpublish that item from the directory. So this is a very simple application. Of course, you can expand upon this application if you wanted to. You can have it be completely password protected, so only internal employees can log in and submit lost and found items. You can do some automation here as well, but for simplicity and because we only get 1 hour in these live streams, I created something very simple. It only has 5 data pages. And you know how you guys like seeing HTML and CSS in these live streams? Well, today is not going to be any different. I'm going to be showing you how to create. I need to fix this actually. Let me reload my browser. I'm going to show you how to create the navigation menu inside the data page itself. So I'm not embedding this into any website. I created the navigation menu and I placed the navigation menu as an app parameter. And I'm using the app parameter in my data page to render that navigation menu above my data pages. And then with that, you can simply tab back and forth. Here we can report a lost and found item, and here we can search for items. And I've done this previously. I also have a video that's on YouTube that shows you how to create this navigation menu in Caspio. So if you want to do something like that, there's a complete comprehensive tutorial on how to do that. Today, I'm going to show you how to copy and paste some code, but if you wanted to get a detail on that, how it's done, you can watch the video at a later time. Just look for Caspio navigation menu on YouTube and you'll be able to find it. Okay, so let's begin. Let's see how we can build this application. It's a very simple app, but you're going to see how I piggyback on what we learned in the prior sessions using the Modal plugin and also the navigation menu that I just talked about. So in Caspio, we're going to go over tables first. It's a very simple database. We have 4 tables. We have a user table, For the back office to log in, I only have one user. My sample user is admin@user.com with my password. Of course, you can create different roles here if you wanted to. You can have different users logging in to view different information. But again, we're not making anything robust today. It's just a very simple backend office to log in. The second table, which is the main table that I have, is the table for items. So let's click on design. And you'll see this is all the information that we're tracking. So we have the item category, we have the name of the item, location of that item, date lost, description, image attachment, and then we have the information of the person that's posting that item that's been lost or found. And here at the bottom, I have a checkbox for active status, which we're going to be able to make items published or unpublished. The third table that I have is the claims table. So here on the front end, if you want to claim this item, we're looking at these fields on the submission form. So in that table, we have first name, we have the claim ID, which is our primary key. We have the item ID because we need to link the item to the actual claim. So who is actually claiming that item? So that's why we need to stamp the item ID in this table so that we can associate our items back to our claims. And then we have all the contact information, first name, last name, email, phone, and inquiry. And last but not least, we have a lookup table that contains all of our categories. These are some categories I listed. Of course, you can manipulate that. You can include other categories if you want. It's completely up to you what information or what items you're going to be reporting that are lost and found. So those are my four tables that I have. The next thing we're going to look at is the authentication because we want the back office users to be able to log in. So I need to create the login screen. Okay, so there's my login screen. I'm going to hit edit just to show you how that was done. We're using that table that contains that one user, one sample user. Okay, here are my email and password fields. Very simple. In the header, I have my heading, and in the footer, I'm just using the sample user's login information so that I can remember when I'm demoing my application who my user is, and I don't have to go back to my table to retrieve that information. Let's cancel that. And now let's go ahead and build all of our data pages. Okay, so as I said, it's going to be a total of 5 data pages. The first one that I always like to start off with is some kind of a submission form so that we can input data into the database from the front end. So let's build that form very quickly. New data page. And that's going to be a submission form. Hit next, and that's going to be based on the table that's going to store all of your items. So let's give this a name. Okay, it's something simple. For my style, I'm going to use blue. That's one of our base styles that we have. And then for my localization, I'm going to use English. And it's a public-facing form, meaning anyone can submit the form. So we don't need to apply any kind of authentication. Let's continue. I need all of my fields to be on the submission form, so let's include them all to the right. Hit next. And now let's just quickly modify some of these fields. In the demo that I'm building today, I'm not going to focus too much on the layout and the aesthetics and the headings and all of that stuff, just because I only have so much time. But what you're going to be able to do is download the application later on. If you come back to the YouTube video, in the description, I always provide all of my resources for you. You're going to be able to download the entire app, import it into your account, and then you can see how I went about creating my heading, how I link back to my search, and then how I organized my fields and added these subheadings as well. Today, we're not going to do that. For my category, that's a very simple dropdown. So I need to create my form element to be a dropdown. We're going to use both lookup tables and custom values because under custom values, I always like to say select category. Delete the value because you're not really selecting that as your category. And in my categories, my lookup table is going to store, contains all of my categories that I added inside my table. And that's automatically going to pull up all those categories from the lookup table. So if I hit preview, you're going to be able to see how I link to that table that contains all the categories. All right, let's see what else we need to modify on this table. We have the name, location, date lost, description. So the description field can be a text area. So let's go back to Caspio, select description, and instead of text field, we can make that a text area. I could make all of these fields required if I wanted to, but no need to do that. Let's make them all optional. And then for active status, I'm going to make that field hidden, and I'm going to make it active by default. So when the form is submitted, by default, I want that item to appear in the directory of all the items. I don't want to wait for the admin to approve that item. Okay, if it's urgent, you want to report something right away, I don't want to have to wait for the admin user to publish or not publish. That's just my thinking behind this application. Of course, at your own discretion, you can also make this unchecked, which means the admin level user has to approve that item first before it's shown visibly in a public listing of all the items. Okay, I'm going to select yes. Let me just make sure I've made all the changes correctly here on my form. I think that I did. I don't need to make any more modifications. And we're going to go ahead and hit next. This is my confirmation, and I'm going to hit finish. So now it's just a very simple form. If I hit preview, there's my form. How do I add my navigation menu above my form? Okay, if you've never done this before, it's actually pretty cool. If you go to the overview screen, here you can add app parameters. I'm going to hit manage. I'm actually going to delete both of them so that you can see how I do this. Okay. What you can use, these are actually referred to as global app parameters because you can use them in your data pages. So you can have these app parameters repeat. You can propagate them across all of your data pages if you need to, and then you manage each app parameter from this screen instead of going to each individual data page and making edits. So let me show you what I mean by that. If I create an app parameter here, and let's call this public nav menu. For type, I'm going to use long text, and then here you can actually code in your own navigation menu. Okay. Now what I'll do is I'll disable my HTML editor. Okay, and I've already done this ahead of time. So here is my navigation menu. I'm going to copy this code. Just give me a second. I'll explain what's happening here. I'm going to paste that here. I have a couple of classes here, and you can see these are all for the navigation menu. I have a background color, which is the color for Ukrainian flag. It's a blue color. Okay. My text is going to be yellow. Again, goes back to the Ukrainian flag. And then on hover, I have an effect. And then what I have here is a logo and the text right next to my logo, which is lost and found database. So I have an image, which is the Ukrainian flag. And I have these side by side. I have the title and I have the image completely side by side. And then I have my links for my navigation menu over here. Search for items and report the item. Okay, now when I hit apply and I hit save, okay, there's my top navigation menu. If I go back to my data pages and I edit my form, here's how I can place that navigation menu above my data page. So I'm going to hit next a few times, and in the header section, I can just simply insert that app parameter, which is the public nav menu like that. And that's all you got to do. You can hit finish now. Hit deploy. Let's grab our URL, copy it, come up here. Actually, let me close the, so we're not confusing it with the one that's live. I'm going to close both of these like that. And then I'm going to paste that up here. Okay. And there's my navigation menu. Now, in order to get to this form, I need to make sure when I click on this link, it actually goes to that form. So I'm going to copy the link. So this direct link is to this submission form. Let me go back to my app parameter once again. Click manage. Click edit. Click on the pencil icon and just scroll down here where you see report an item. I'm just going to paste that link to that form and hit apply and save. Now what's going to happen is when you click on, each time you click on this link, it's always going to take you to that submission form, as you can see. Okay, so if you've never done this before, it's pretty cool. You can create that navigation menu under app parameters, and then you can just insert the app parameter above the data page to be able to display those links. The next data page that we're going to build is the ability to search for these items, okay, which doesn't exist yet. So let's build that data page. All right, reports. Let's go with the gallery. I believe I used the gallery layout. We're going to hit next. Based on the items, because we're trying to pull information from the items table. Let's just call it find items. We're going to use the blue style once again. I'm going to use the same localization. No need to password protect because it's public facing. We're going to hit next. Let's have the ability to search. Let's have the results appear underneath the search form and display the results on the initial load. Let's search based on the category and name, just 2 fields. You can include other search fields if you'd like. It's completely up to you. I'm going to hit next. And now to search my data, for the form element, once again, I'm going to select my dropdown. We're going to use both. Let's search any to return all the items from the database. Make sure that carries a null value. And then lookup table, again, we have that lookup table that contains all the categories. I would like my name field to appear after my category field. So we're going to go to the advanced tab and say continue next element on the same line, which is going to put the name field on the same line as the category field. We're going to say label position on top for both of these 2 fields. And for the name field, we're going to use, well, let's use autocomplete. Autocomplete is like Google search. If you type in a letter, it's going to give you all the options that are available for you from the actual table. We're going to use contains. We're going to use items, name, and let's just use contains. And hit next. Now, what information do we want to display on the results page? So let's have the image. Let's have the category. Let's have the name, location, date lost, and we'll have description as well. Okay, we're going to have these items. We're going to hit next. No need to edit. It's public facing. I don't want people to delete my data. Let's continue. And then for image, let's display that as an image. And let's have maybe the width be 150 pixels. Let's remove the label. We know that it's an image. There's no need for a label that says image attachment. So we're going to remove the label. And then for category, name, location, date lost, and description, description could be a little bit long. It could be long text sometimes, depending on how much data you provide for your description. So what I like to do here in the advanced tab is truncate my text to maybe 40, and then give the users ability to expand and collapse that text if they want to be able to read more about that description. Okay, so one more thing that we need to add here is our button on the results page to claim the item. Now, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago with the Modal plugin. I think it's the simplest way to link our report to our submission form instead of going to another navigation tab. So let me bring this here. If this gets a little confusing for some people, it's really, really simple. It'll literally take you 1 minute to incorporate this into your applications. And I think a lot of people that are in today's live stream can vouch for that. If you go to that live stream that we did a few weeks ago for Modal plugin, in the description of that video, I provide all of these materials that you need to add this to your application. It's really, really simple. Okay. So the first thing that you'll need to do is copy the library that we have here at the very top and add that inside the header. So let me disable my HTML editor and add my library. That's the first thing that we need to do. The second thing that we need to do is add that button that we're going to click on to claim the item. So I'm going to add a HTML block and I'm going to move that HTML block underneath my description. Once again, I'm going to disable the toolbar. And now let's add the button. Again, that's inside this document. So here is my button that we're going to add like that. So this controls when you click on the button, it opens up that Modal plugin. Now, one thing that you want to do here is pass the item ID to the claim form. Okay, the reason why you want to do that is because when you submit that claim form, you need to stamp the item ID inside a claims table so that you can associate your items to your claims. Okay, so to do that, you may notice here 2 additional single quotes. In between there, you want to put in a question mark and then your parameter name. Let's just call this IID, which stands for item ID. You're going to add your equal sign and then you're going to insert the item ID that you're passing. So if you've passed parameters in Caspio, this is a standard feature in the platform. If you've done this before, it's no different than here. You just have to know where to add this information. So put the question mark, IID, which stands for item ID, and then the field name that you wish to pass. Okay. Next thing that you want to add, if you scroll down in this document, you're going to want to add all of this information that you see here, which is the modal window and the JavaScript that makes that modal window open up. So again, we're going to disable the toolbar, and here we're going to paste all that code. And just a few more things that are left to do here. We'll come back to this script in just a minute. Let's hit next. Let's go ahead and display maybe 6 columns. Let's hit next and disable the details page and click finish. All right, so now that we have the ability to find items, let's deploy that data page, grab the URL, copy it, and let's go back to our overview screen where we can update our app parameters. So edit, click on the pencil icon, go all the way down and just replace the pound with that link. Hit apply, hit save. Let's go back to our application, reload, and now we should have the ability to report an item and have the ability to find the item. But what I need to do, what I forgot to do, was include my navigation menu above the search form. So let's go back to that data page. Edit. Back to the search form right here. We're going to insert our header and footer. And in the header section, all you need to do is add your app parameter. Hit finish. And now we should be able to see that navigation menu. And we can tab back and forth between reporting an item and have the ability to search items. So if you report the item, let's just make one submission into a database. Let's just say pets and animals, cat, location, Kiev, date lost today, description, someone's cat was lost today, or I found this cat near the train station, something like that. Let's open up the images here, and I do have an image of a cat. We're going to just use this one here. And let's just say the person who reported it is Slav Medvedenko. And we're going to say slavm@test.com, phone number. We want to be able to provide our number as well. We're going to hit submit. Okay, there's my confirmation, and now I can find that item over here. I need to rename this add contact to claim item. So let's come back to that a little bit later before I actually modify the code itself, the script that we pasted. I need to create the form that allows me to claim the item. Okay, so when I click on that button, I need to be able to see that form that allows me to claim the item. So back in data pages, I'm going to build a brand new data page here. Submission form, hit next. And that's going to be based on the claims table. Right? When you submit the form, that data needs to go inside a claims table. Let's call this submit claim form. Again, I'm going to use my blue style. Localization will remain the same. It's a public facing form. We're going to hit next. I need all my fields in the submission form. We're going to hit next. And now for item ID. Remember how we modified the button just a moment ago? Inside that button, we were able to pass the ID, the item ID. My parameter name was IID equals, and then the field that we're passing. Well, now we need to receive that ID that we passed from the results page. So we go into the advanced tab, we say receive value externally, and the parameter name was IID. It needs to carry the same naming convention. Okay, so the parameter name has to be exactly the same. I do not need to display the item ID on my form, so we're going to make this field hidden. The end user doesn't need to actually see the ID on the form. We just make that field hidden. Then we have first name, last name, email, phone, and inquiry can be a text area. And then when you hit submit, you can have a confirmation message and then the user can close the form. I'm just going to go ahead and load this page upon submission. So we're going to go to a new page. We're going to paste that link. So as soon as you hit submit, the user is going to be redirected to this page and they're going to be able to, once again, be able to see a list of all those items. And finish. Okay, so now that we have the claim form, let's deploy it and let's make it public or live. Okay. Here's how we need to modify that script that we added inside this data page. So I click on the properties for submit the claim form, and what I need to do is I need to grab everything after the first 8 digits. So you see the first 8 digits, you want to grab all this information. You're going to copy that. You're going to go back to your report and edit. And let's go back to that script in the footer in the button. So here's my button and here's the app key section. So you want to remove this and paste the one that we just copied. Okay, the reason why is because we need to load that form. And that app key is for that specific form. Okay. Next thing we're going to do is modify the heading. So let's call this submit claim. I'm also going to modify my text inside the button. Submit or claim this item. I don't know, something random. Okay. And then in the footer section, we'll come back to this in just a moment because we also need to replace these two values that you see here. So let me click finish. Now what you want to do is, once again, you want to open up the properties to the claim form. Let me reload the browser. Are you guys still able to hear me? Hopefully my internet's not going down. Let me know if you can hear me in the chat window, please. You can still hear me? Okay. Well, I apologize for the technical difficulties that I'm experiencing here on my end. Things seem to be loading now. I don't usually experience this, but let's just see how long this will take. I know I didn't break anything. This is all standard config, so thanks, Tracy. Yeah, I don't know what's happening. I am crossing my fingers here on my end that things return back to normal here. I do apologize for this. You guys have been part of my live streams before. We've never encountered anything like this, so hopefully this is just an anomaly for today. I'm just happy you guys can still hear me. I was thinking my internet was going down. Okay, we're back. As for the nerdy Caspio jokes, I don't know, but I'll have some ready next time. Okay, I'll definitely have some prepared next time. All right, where were we? We were going to look at the properties of the submit claim form. So now what we're going to do is grab the first 8 characters of the app key. So we need to copy that information as well. Let's go to find items. Oh no. Let's just hope this is only going to be with us for a few more minutes. I can't remember the last time I've had something like this happen. Of course, it always happens during the actual live stream, in a demo. Okay, so let's continue. Let's go back to the footer section on the results page. And in the footer, we're just going to replace this value here with the one that we just copied. Okay, let me make sure I hit backspace here. And now we need to grab the app key. The account ID. So let me click finish. And the account ID you can locate by going to account settings. Let me open that up in a new tab. And we want to grab this ID here. Back to editing the data page one final time. And now everything should be connected on the public side. Footer. And right over here, paste. There we go. So let's just cross our fingers that everything works the way it's supposed to. You never know. So now I can claim that item. It's going to open up my form, okay, which is pulling that form right here because we grabbed our app key to that form. And now when I submit the item, so let's say I'm claiming this item, we're going to go with, I don't know, can that email canv@test.com. I'll provide my number because I want you to call me because I miss my cat. And inquiry, this is my cat. Let's just hit submit. Okay, so it loaded this data page behind the scenes right over here. And now if I pass that ID correctly, inside my claims table, I should be able to see that item ID in here as well. Okay. And that's the idea. And now somebody else can come over here. They can report the lost and found item, and somebody else is going to be able to find that item and also claim that item. So believe it or not, we only have one more data page left to build, which is the one to manage these items from the back office as an admin user. So let's build that data page as our very last one. I thought it was 5 data pages, but maybe it's only 4 data pages. Could have sworn it was, no, it is 5 data pages actually, because we need to be able to see all the claims per item. All right, so let's build our 4th data page. Okay, we can go with the tabular format based on the items table. Let's call this manage items. And now I need to apply my authentication because I need the user to log in so they can edit and manage each one of these listings. We're going to hit next. Let's have the search form display the results in the initial load. And now for my search fields, again, we can include category, we can include name. You can include other search fields here if you like for the admin level user, including active and inactive, or published or unpublished. Let's hit next. Categories, same thing. We're going to create the drop down. We're going to use our both, search any, delete the value, and then lookup table is going to be the categories. Okay. Let's have the label on top, and let's have the next element appear on the same line, which is the name. Keep things simple. Let's just use contains for the name. Continue next element on the same line, label position on top. And now for active status, I always like to rename this myself. Published, unpublished. The value itself is still yes or no, but for the display on the radio button, I like to display published or unpublished versus yes or no. And then by default, I want to search any. Show me the entire listing of all the published and unpublished items. And then let me manually select if I just want to be able to see the published items or unpublished. By default, this is what I want to be set to. And then for this one, label can be on top. Now for the results page, we can include the image. Let's have the category, name, location, date lost, description. Personally, we can include all the fields essentially here in the results page. Okay, we want to be able to do an inline edit. You can also delete items if you want to as the admin. It's up to you what type of permissions you want to have. For the image, maybe we want to be able to replace the image as the admin. So let's do, actually, let's just do the image. And then have it be form element file so that we can still replace the image. I think that's fine. So let's display the image to maybe 100 pixels for the width, and then height will automatically adjust based on the width. For category, we should be able to edit. So that's going to be we can make that a text field, but why don't we turn that into a drop down since we have a lookup table that contains all the categories. We have our name, location, date lost, description. Once again, for description, I'm going to truncate that text because I'm using a tabular report. Tabular report has rows and columns. It's a small cell. So I recommend you truncate the text and let the admin expand that text if he or she wants to. We have first name, last name, email, active and inactive. So for this one, it's going to be a checkbox just to make items published or unpublished. And again, I like to format my label or my text to something a little bit more custom. So if it's yes, it's going to be published. If it's no, it's going to be unpublished. And then here we can assign a color. So if it's published, it's going to be green. If it's unpublished, we're going to turn that into red. And once again, we're going to create that modal pop-up. So you don't have to just load a submission form. You can also load reports if you'd like. So we're going to include an HTML block here at the very bottom. Let's also include a header and footer. And let's go back to my Word document. And let's do that one more time. So we're going to grab our library. Okay, let's disable this HTML toolbar. Okay, we got that. Let's go back here and grab our button. Paste that here. Disable and paste. We'll come back here and modify once we build our report that displays all the claims. But one thing that we're going to do here is question mark CID. I'm passing the claim ID. Am I passing the claim ID? No, I'm passing the item ID. So once again, IID equals, and we're going to insert the item ID. Okay. Because when you pass the item ID to the report is going to receive that item ID and it's going to display all the claims that belong to that item ID. Okay, that's the idea. And might as well just rename all of this here. So on the pop-up window, we're going to be able to see view claims, or just keep it simple, just claims. And then for the button itself, we can say view claim. And then in the footer section, we're going to paste, here's my Word document, here it is. In the footer section, we are going to paste all of this information. Copy that. We're almost done. We just have one more data page left to build, and I'll have to come back to this screen a little bit later. So let's hit finish. First of all, let's hit next. Let's display 25 items per page, and let's disable the details page and click finish. All right. One thing I need to create here is my second navigation menu, because when I deploy this data page for the admin level user, so let's grab the link and let's go to it. Okay, let's log in, which is user@admin.com, test 1, 2, 3. Okay, that didn't work. User test 1, 2, 3. All right, I need to check my table. Something's not working correctly. So let's go to the user table and admin@user.com. Let me just change that. Maybe I mistyped my password. Test 1, 2, 3. Test 1, 2, 3. Admin@user.com. Oh, user@admin.com. That's what I was. Okay, admin@user.com. Just had it reversed. Okay, so now as the admin level user, we have the ability to see the item that was posted. I can do an inline edit. I can see that this item is published. If I want to remove that item from the directory, I can uncheck the box, hit modify, and we will no longer be able to see this cat listed in the directory. But we're not going to do that. Let's keep it public. Okay. Let's see. What else? I need to add my navigation menu up here at the top for the admin level user as well. So in my notepad, I have my admin navigation menu, which is no different than the other one. The only difference here is that I'm using different links for the admin level user, but all the other code above is still the same. So let's go back to the overview screen. Let's manage, and let's add one more app parameter. And this one's going to be admin nav menu, long text, pencil icon, disable. Okay, paste. And let's see. So for manage items, I already have that data page link. So let's grab it and let's remove and replace the pound. And then we'll come back here and add the logout link in just a moment. Okay, hit apply, hit save. I need to go back to my data page and include my app parameter in the search form. Okay, so let's add our header and footer. And in the header, we're going to include now the admin navigation menu. Hit finish, reload, and voila. There is my admin navigation menu. Since we're here, we might as well add the logout link too, right? We have manage items. Let's go to our authentications. Let's go to our properties, and let's grab our logout link, copy it back to our app parameter one final time. Can you include the CSS and HTML for the nav menu in the notes? Yes, so I can definitely do that. Let me just modify my admin navigation menu. Over here, we're going to just paste that here. And now we have a logout link working as well. So you want that in the notes? You want me to paste it here? Because when you download, usually what I provide is the entire application. So you're going to be able to download the entire application, and the place where you're going to find a navigation menu would be here under App Parameters. So either I add it to the notes, or when you import the entire application, you can manage your app parameters, and you can find it here by clicking on Edit and then clicking on the pencil icon. One thing that I didn't mention before is if you guys want the ability to, let's say, change the color of this button. So if you're not using a Bootstrap template, if you're using direct links, you may be wondering, how can I change the color of that button? It's actually very easy. You just have to override the CSS that's provided in that library. You can inspect that tool. You can click on the button, and you can grab the class, which is the button primary. That's the class for that button. Okay. So that's something that you can do. And then so here, button primary, right? If you copy this from the CSS, all right, and let's say you go to your data page, find items. Okay, so in the header section, just create a very simple style up here for yourself and close the style. And then in between there, paste that. So for button primary, right now, color of the text is white. Your background color is blue, but if you want that color to be something else, let's say maybe light gray, like EEE, what you need to do is you need to declare important here, because you want to override the style in the library. So usually this will place more importance on what you put in here as opposed to the style that's inside the library itself. Okay, and then the color of the text can be black, so 000, and again you want to add important afterwards. Okay, so watch what happens if I hit finish now and I reload manage items on the public side. This button will no longer be blue, it's going to be gray. And you can do the same thing for the border as well if you like. Okay, if it gets to the point where it's just too much blue. Okay, so one final thing that's left to do here is when I click on that button, I want to be able to see who's claimed this item. So why don't we just, actually I did submit my claim, so I did actually click on that before. So we should have one item linking to this, one claim linked to this item. Good. Let's go to data pages and let's build our final data page of today. Let's see, modal question. My Weebly template was adding an icon in the modal launch button. With trial and error, I figured out that a bit of the code was causing the problem. 1, 2. If I deleted this, the problem went away. Is there a purpose for this code that I should know? I-class FAS. Oh, I see. So the plus is really just supposed to add a little plus icon in front of the button. Let me go back to it. Real quick, since we're on that topic, let me look at the button. I think we're looking at this, yeah? So this is actually supposed to create the plus icon. It's not doing that actually here, which is interesting. I need to figure out why it's not adding that plus icon in front of the button. So really it's supposed to put a little plus icon here. That's why there's a little bit of space here. I never noticed that. I didn't even pay attention. But if you don't have a need for that icon, if you like this to be a little bit more cleaner without the icon, yeah, you can just remove that. Make sure you remove the all of this, the closing. Okay. Yeah. So it's not necessary. It's funny. I never noticed it. Sometimes I just go through this so quickly that I don't even pay attention to a lot of the code that's here. But yeah, I'm surprised. I'll have to see why it's not showing up. Maybe the icons are not part of the library. So that's something I'll have to investigate. Okay, one final data page left, and then you guys are good to go. We're going to create one final data page, reports. Let's go with the tabular format based on the claims. View claims. blue style, localization English, restrict access to our user, hit next. And now we need to filter the data, okay? Because I'm passing the item ID to the claims report. The claims report is going to receive that ID, and we're going to be able to just simply filter our data based on that item ID that we passed. Okay, we're going to hit next. Filter based on the item ID. And just like in the submission form, advanced tab, receive the value externally, and parameter name was IID. Value is required. We're going to hit next. And now on the results page, we're going to say, so first name, last name, email, phone, inquiry, all the information related to the person that's inquiring about the item. We're going to hit next. Do I want to be able to delete information or edit? You can if you want to. Let's just skip that. No need to make any changes here. Let's display 25. Let's disable the details page. And now what we're going to do is simply just publish that, make it live. And now we need to repeat the same thing as we did before. I need to hit on properties, grab my app key. Okay, we're going to go back to manage items. Okay, inside the HTML block, there's my app key. We are going to swap that out. Okay, let's grab the first 8 digits. Oh, that's 9. Make sure you only grab 8. Copy. Once again, manage items. And 2 more values to replace, and you guys are good to go. Just want to make sure everything works the way it's supposed to. So my app key prefix, if I can just copy the paste, there we go. And my account ID, which I should have saved before. Let's copy it and manage items. And footer section, account ID, paste, and we have everything completed. So let's just hope that it works. We're going to reload. I should see 1 claim here, and there it is. Okay, it came from Ken Vishchuk. That's the email, and that's the person that's claiming that item. If you guys want to make the modal wider, again, you can do that. One way to simply do that is like this. If I just grab my modal content, I believe that it is. Let's just see. .600 pixels. Yeah, so it's this one here. So if you grab the modal dialog class, you copy that, and then you go to your data page, manage items. Let's go to the results page, and in the header section, same as before, just like we did to make the different color for the button, we can add our style here, close the style, paste that here, and again, you can now, let's just say you want 1000 pixels. Make sure you write important, and margin 30 pixels from the top can remain the same. I'm not really worried about the spacing from the top of the screen. It's just the width. And yeah, let's try that. Oh, well, that didn't work. Oh, why that didn't work? We're going to find out. Interesting. You change modal MD to modal LG. Okay. Yeah, you could do that too. But I mean, I just did this earlier today. I'm surprised that it's not overriding it. I'm just wondering why. It's very strange. Oh, I mean, that should have done it. Anyway, I'm going to look inside my other application where I actually use the right class. I'm not going to sit here and trying to figure this out live. We're going to come over here and, but hey, that's the same one, modal dialog Why is it not working? We'll copy that. Let's go to the one today. Data pages, edit. It's the same one I used. Listen. Of course, I misspelled this. Important. 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 There we go. That should work. Even the little tiny mistake like that can send you down the wrong path in trying to find what you did wrong. So now I'm confident that this should work correctly. Now we should be able to see 1000. There we go. Okay. Okay, so hopefully you enjoyed today's live stream. It was really just building a simple lost and found database app. Of course, you can build this without using code that I showed you today, but most of the people in these live streams are very proficient at copying and pasting like I am. So you guys are going to be able to just download the application that I provide. And if you want to use any of the things that I worked on in today's live stream, you can now copy and reuse and repurpose in your own applications. So thank you again for coming back to the live stream in today's session. Hopefully you enjoyed today's class. Next week, okay, on Monday, we're finally doing document generation templates. So Tracy, if you're still here, we're finally doing that next Monday as promised. And we're going to be covering all the different ways of how you can modify the uploaded PDF template and how you can map out the fields on the editable PDF template back to your table, which now we can link back to checkboxes, list string data types, text field data types. And I'll explain a couple of other nuances and recommendations and best practices around the uploaded PDF. Okay, but it's actually not that complicated. It's fairly simple. Yeah, and then how you can download the template from the data page, because I know now we can use not just the link, the text link, but you can also use a button to download the PDF. And if you have any PDF templates that you'd like to use for the demo, just send that to me. So if you have a specific PDF template you'd like to see in the live stream, send it over. Otherwise, I'm going to use my own example. And the one that comes to mind for me that I've used, I think in the most recent release video, I used car insurance, because I know through Progressive and even Geico in the past, I was able to log into my account and simply just click on a link to download my PDF insurance card. And then I just print that out, cut it out, and put it in my car. So that's one example that I can think of for a real life example. And maybe an invoice can be another one. And I'm trying to think, maybe even a field service type application where you can print a service request or download a service request. Thing I wanted to know, Ned, I think plan from the instructions was, can we populate more than one record? Oh, more than one record onto a PDF? I think it's just one record at a time, because you're mapping out the fields from the table. So you're linking to one table to that uploaded PDF template. One table. And yeah, the fields, it's really just one at a time. I don't know if you can, I mean, if you want to download multiple records, you can just do a regular download PDF feature that we have. Instead of mapping it to the PDF document, we can't download the tabular results onto a PDF generated template. I'm sure you're aware of that. That's been around for a long time now, if you wanted to do more than one record. It would be great to be able to use a view instead of a table, but that doesn't seem to be an option. Yeah, that might actually be planned in the future. I don't think we can link to a view today. I think it just links to a table. I mean, I should know this, but I'm pretty sure it just links back to a, yeah, it's just table mapping, so no views. But yeah, I see that it would be pretty useful to link to a view, because then you can pull data from multiple tables. Yeah, I can see that. Something that we can add to our idea box. You guys go to ideabox.caspio.com. You can add that idea. Let me know when you add the idea, and I'll help you vote that up. Because our development team always places priority on what people vote in the idea box. Okay, sounds good. All right, Tracy, Katie, thank you for coming back to my live streams. Good to see you, as always. I know you're both power users of Caspio. And I'd love to see what you guys are working on. I'm always curious to see what applications people are developing. If you want to share something, not sensitive data, obviously, I'd love to see it. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Good to see you. And Brian, I know you're here too. And Northwest Apparel. Thank you so much. Have a good rest of the week. Stay safe out there. I appreciate that, Katie. Thank you. Thank you. And hopefully I can learn from you as well. I mean, we dabble. Both you and I, we dabble a lot in these applications. And when we come up with something new, I'll definitely send you an email like I did last week when I figured out how to pass the ID to the modal. All right. You too, Tracy. Thank you all. Have a good week. I'll see you next week. All right. Take care. Bye-bye. And I'll try to have some nerdy Caspio jokes on Monday. I don't know any, surprisingly. But I'll try to come up with some. See ya. Bye-bye.